Good morning, everybody. This is the First Alert Desk. As always, it's been a busy Monday morning on the roadways and in just the weather department in general. We've had tornado warnings this morning. We've had flash flooding issues. We've had a lot of issues that our weather department has been on top of. We have had a team of reporters out on the roads so you know what's going on in the area around you. And we can tell you right now there's an issue in Spalding County that we are staying on top of. So that one has to do with residents that are now being evacuated actually because of a flooding threat. So we have a reporter, Madeline Montgomery, who's on the roads right now. She's on the way. Madeline, you guys probably got the word about this maybe, I don't know, 30 or so minutes ago, and you headed that direction. So what's going on?
So we're on our way right now down to that area, and there's been a lot of activity down there as far as water on the roadways for a while. I've been checking in on the Spalding County Facebook page as well as the Spalding County Sheriff's page, and they've been posting about a lot of water down there. And then apparently there was some kind of building crew that was down there, and I'm checking my notes to make sure I get this right. So there was a contractor who was working down by the Heads Creek Reservoir, and he's the one who made the call that they need to close nearby roads and evacuate people who lived in that area because of unsafety, basically because of all of the water that was out there from the water coming down from all of that rain, the water on the roadways. And so we know that there are evacuations going on, and we're working to learn more. I've been working to get into contact with the EOC down there, and I mean, we've just been seeing a lot of water on the roads in general throughout the morning. I mean, all around Georgia because of all of the rainfall we've gotten throughout the morning. I know in Midtown we were over on Techwood Drive by the connector, and there was, I mean, 2.5 lanes covered in water.
Wow.
And then we were over in the Kirkwood neighborhood, and there was a tree down completely across the road, Hosea Williams Drive, because of water in the soil, just knocking this giant old oak over. And so all of this rain is just really causing a lot of issues. And so we're working to learn more about this issue that's over in Griffin right now. We just know that residents in that area are being asked to evacuate.
Now it's about out of an abundance of caution, is what I'm hearing, right? Nothing's happening yet. They just think there's a threat of this dam breaking. Is that right?
That's what I'm understanding right now is just with all of the water on the roadways and with all of the water coming down, they just have those concerns. So I don't believe anything has happened just yet, but they just want to make sure that people are where they are the safest at this time. And so that's why they're moving them out of the way there.
All right. Well, I guess we'll check in with you. Hopefully, we have you maybe in an hour or so. We do these every hour, so we appreciate your report. Thanks so much, and stay safe out
Yep.
there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, like Madeline said, they are doing this out of an abundance of caution. You wouldn't want to start evacuating people after the fact, right? They want to get everybody out now before those issues start to arrive, if they do indeed arrive. And there's been a lot of issues since this weather started pouring in throughout the southeast. We covered it all morning today. My gosh, it is just so sad to think, at the beginning of this weekend, life was normal. And by the end of it, 25 people were killed in Mississippi alone, another death in Alabama. We've had issues across Georgia. So we can show you some of this. My gosh, just powerful storms, powerful enough to do this. This is a road in Jeff Davis Road, to be specific, in Upson County. So the area was battered with rain. Pebble Creek was overwhelmed with floodwaters, and the force of it caused that road to buckle. The pavement cracked in half. We had our Rebecca Schramm out there earlier on today. And yeah, it's just unbelievable how powerful weather can be. Meanwhile, check this out. You'd probably think this was snow. Looks like snow. This is also right here in Georgia over the weekend. This is hail. Some of you got some pretty large chunks, and you can get a better look as that person there scoops it up. People are largely dealing with flooding, wind, and trees down here. But man, Mississippi got it bad. The tornado's path left over 150 miles of destruction. People were still in their homes when this happened. Look at your screens. Gosh, again, at least 25 people were killed in that state, and the ones who survived came out to their homes and their communities looking like this. You see this man right here? This is a councilman in that area. He's walking on what was his house. right? That's people's churches, people's schools, people's grocery stores, all in shambles here. FEMA says more than 2,000 homes in Rolling Fork, Mississippi were either damaged or destroyed by the storm. So yesterday, President Biden did approve a disaster declaration to get that federal funding to some of those hardest hit communities. And volunteers did go to distribute food and water. But that councilman you saw walking on the remains of his house, he says he feels God saved his life. He said he got under a bathtub and just waited. He said it took 5 minutes, waited, and then it was over. And he came out to see that, still alive. Absolutely incredible. So the White House says that more federal aid could be headed towards Mississippi as those damage assessments continue. Of course, we had a tornado warnings in our area here in Georgia, so assessments will be happening today as well. Our First Alert Weather team is on top of that. We will have a report coming up at the end of this segment here, and then we're going to have, of course, them on at noon, breaking down what you can expect for the rest of your day. But let's get into some of your other headlines this morning. A lot of people still waiting to see what's going to happen with former President Trump, specifically with the Manhattan grand jury. Now, they were supposed to reconvene last week. They did not. They are reconvening today. So what that means is that we could see if an arrest could come. Okay, so Trump recently used his first official campaign rally in Waco, Texas, to denounce these legal challenges against him. His attorneys have said, he is innocent. He denies any involvement in this probe and the alleged hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. He also says that Trump's inaccurate prediction that he was going to be arrested last week was not made up. Okay, that was based off of facts that I believe they had at the time. But Trump has gotten a lot of backlash for a comment that he made warning that death and destruction is possible if he's indicted. So some lawmakers have called that statement dangerous, says he's gonna get somebody killed, making statements like that. And Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg actually has already received death threats and has increased security. So we are staying on top of that one for you guys as well for any updates in that case. Meanwhile, this is an update for you, a good update for you, to a story we brought you last week. So last week we told you that there was a potentially deadly drug-resistant fungus that was spreading rapidly, mostly in hospitals and nursing homes, impacting people with compromised immune systems. Okay, so the good news here is that there is a new study that shows that there is a special UV ray robot that has been successful in killing this fungus. You're seeing this on your screen. So this study was done by Netcare Hospitals, and they say that this robot is 99.6% effective at killing this C. auris fungus. That's what it's called. So that fungus actually remains active on surfaces for up to 28 days. It is not affected by a lot of commonly used disinfectants, and again, drug resistant as well, so that's really problematic. But this light strike gives those intense bursts of pulse ultraviolet light to quickly deactivate the bacteria and funguses and viruses on surfaces. Works for bedding, works for countertops, floors, and walls. Sales of these devices actually skyrocketed during the COVID-19 pandemic, so Xenex increased the manufacturing capacity. They have these robot inventories available to assist with this issue. A lot of people I know, you guys watch Last of Us and you're getting a little worried. Not gonna lie, I was too. But everything is good on that front. Now, this story had a lot of people talking over the weekend. Jonathan Majors, he's really risen to fame and success over the past couple of years. He is now facing domestic assault charges after a 30-year-old woman claims that he assaulted and strangled her. Now, New York police arrested him on Saturday after this alleged domestic dispute. Charges on the actor include strangulation, assault, and harassment. Now, a spokesperson for Majors has denied all of this. He's denied any wrongdoings here. Now, after the arrest, the U.S. Army actually pulled recruiting ads featuring him off of the air, and they say that while Majors is innocent until proven guilty, prudence dictates that they pull their ads until this investigation is complete. So a lot of reaction online, mostly people hoping it's not true. Gosh, you don't want to say anything innocent until proven guilty, but of course, awful allegations of abuse. So we will be following this for you guys, and we'll see where that leads. We also want to get another check of your forecast today because, again, it has been a doozy out there. Right now, we're going to get to First Alert Meteorologist Courtney Jacobiza, who can tell you more about it.
Yeah, that's right. So thankfully, even though it still looks very gloomy out there, conditions are starting to improve across the metro. And I need to... get my box because if
Forgot
not,
your
you guys
short.
wouldn't be able to see me. But anyway, while it looks really, really dreary there over in Stone Mountain, we are going to see improving conditions throughout the day. We do still have some nuisance spots, though, that we need to talk about. So good morning, everybody. I am First Alert Meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi. It has just been a wild past couple of days weather-wise with the rain and storms. And, of course, yesterday we had the tornado in Troup County, and that led to a stormy evening and overnight. And then ultimately we had another tornado warning this morning in parts of Pike and Upson counties and Meriwether counties. So definitely an active stretch of weather, but thankfully that is all starting to come to an end ahead of what is even more so, thankfully, going to lead into a pretty nice week. So we'll get several days of a reprieve, which will be good for, of course, all of the cleanup efforts over in Troup County and Meriwether County and ultimately Upson County. So we're going to talk about that and, of course, what's going on right now because we aren't necessarily done. We have decided to go ahead and drop the first alert weather day for today. The first alert weather day, we're going to talk about the difference between our first alert, because you hear us say that a lot, and a first alert weather day. The first alert is because of nuisance weather or abrupt changes. So, for instance, when temperatures drop really drastically, when you're in the 80s and the next thing you know, you're in the 20s. And then also if rain is going to impact your commute, that's just a nuisance. You have to prepare for that. We give you a heads up. That's essentially what a first alert is. But then a first alert weather day is higher impact events. And that's when you have severe weather and safety concerns. So we're talking when we're watching for the chance for scattered severe storms, the potential for tornadoes, the potential for some large hail, all things that we experienced yesterday and into this morning. A lot of you sent in some incredible video of the hail from last night and this morning, and it looked more like snow in your front yard because of the hailstones. Hail is a really interesting weather phenomenon. So I talk with my hands, and this is going to be the best way because I don't have a graphic for this, but hail is when you know you have a very strong storm. In fact, severe when you have 1-inch diameter hail, which is about quarter sized. So essentially to create hail, you need a very strong updraft. And a lot of times when you have that large hail, that is a precursor to a supercell thunderstorm that could spawn a tornado. So essentially what happens is you have very strong updrafts that lift all of that moisture in the form of raindrops. Well, in the highest levels of the atmosphere, it's below freezing. So those raindrops freeze, get heavy, and start falling. Well, those updrafts are so strong, the storm is so strong, that it actually lifts those particles of ice, and that's essentially what happens. It freezes and then refreezes. I guess it goes into some warmer air, but that updraft lifts it back up and it freezes again, and that just grows bigger and bigger until that updraft can't hold that piece of ice any longer, and it falls as hail. So when you have golf ball sized hail, yeah, that's a very powerful storm, and we did experience that over the past couple of days. Hopefully you were able to kind of follow that, but hail is just really just proves a very strong to severe thunderstorm in a lot of cases. Good morning to Wesley and Clark. Good morning. Hopefully you're having a great day. But again, the first alert weather day is what we had in effect early this morning because of the fact that severe weather, the threat for it is diminishing across most of the area. We are dropping the first alert weather day, but we are keeping the first alert because of flash flooding still possible. That is a nuisance. That is going to impact how you travel around your communities, because if you do run into any of the flooded streets that are definitely present across the area, you just need to be really careful. Remember, do not drive into standing water. Our reporter Rebecca Schramm was on a washed out road in Upson County. So that's a possibility, something we'll be monitoring for you. But we do have that first alert as a heads up, is as you're making your way out and about, especially in our southern counties. If you live along and south of I-20, you just need to be extra vigilant on the roadways. Here's a look at some of those hailstones. Look at that. And you can almost see the center, almost like the original stone that started to build, and then all the ice that just built on top of that. This is it's like when you cut an onion, you see all the layers. That is what this hailstone is pretty much showing. You're just seeing the layers of ice that built as that was staying lofted in the air and freezing and melting and freezing and melting over again until it grew to this size, which is about golf ball size, and fell onto the ground. This is from Atlanta. This is from South Fulton County, a picture from Alex Bente. So thank you so much for sending that photo. So here's a look at first alert radar right now. We do still, again, have some flash flood warnings, and we'll talk about the difference between a watch and a warning in just a second, but this essentially means that the flash flood threat is imminent. It is happening, and you need to be very careful. So the flash flood warning for Pike, Meriwether, and Troup counties all go until 12:15. So that's another about 2 hours that we will be watching for, because that's when you're simply going to experience the most heavy rain over the next several hours. Now we're going to take you over to Spalding County in the Griffin area. I believe we talked to Madeline Montgomery about what's going on there. So Spalding County received a lot of rain in a short period of time, hence the flash flood warning. That's what leads to flash flooding, a lot of rain in a short period of time. And so this is going to last the longest until 3:30. That flash flood warning is in effect. So the threat, again, is currently happening. This is when you need to take action and be very careful as you're traveling out and about. In fact, in Griffin, there is a dam that is under construction right now that is they're nervous. Construction workers are nervous that the area around this reservoir, Heads Reservoir over in the Griffin area in Spalding County, is going to collapse, and that could really threaten life and property around the reservoir. So it's getting evacuated right now. So we will have a reporter there to give us updates on that, but definitely seeing the impact of flash flooding there in Spalding County. Taking you over to Upson County. So for Upson and Lamar County, the flash flood warning should end in the next 40 minutes. Again, the heaviest of rain should start to move out within the next hour, and we will time out your day for you so you can kind of know when your day is going to start to improve, because again, it will. We will see sunshine today for a lot of us. Here's a look at the 24-hour rainfall, and this is what's prompting those flash flood warnings. Look at the incredible amount of rain that's fallen in just the past 24 hours. We're talking over 10 inches. Where you see that black color there, that's where they experienced 10 plus inches of rain. So we're talking parts of Meriwether County, parts of Upson County, parts of Lamar and Pike counties, parts of Meriwether County, all places that experienced severe weather, even that tornado yesterday. So think about when you're trying to clean up, that's a big enough process within itself. And then you add all of this rain that has continued to fall. That makes the cleanup process so tough. That makes trying to pick up your life again a lot tougher. So we are going to be doing extensive coverage out there for you guys and just kind of keeping up with them so that we can make sure that, one, you're informed, and two, that the proper resources are getting there, because they definitely have a long road ahead of them after yesterday's storms and then today's rain and storms. They had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings roll through today. Up towards Spalding County, they picked up upwards of 7 inches of rain, and then closer to the metro. So again, notice the further north of I-20 you go, you get more into the greens and blue colors, so half an inch to an inch of rain. But then once you get some spots like Gwinnett County picked up over 2 inches of rain, some places inside the perimeter as well. So parts of Fulton County, parts of Douglas and Cobb County picked up close to 3 inches of rain, which is pretty much normal for the entire month. So we have definitely exceeded in the rainfall department over the past couple of days. Now we do have a flood watch, and again, we're going to talk about the difference between a watch and a warning in just a second. But we do have a flood watch until 6 o'clock today for most of the metro and, of course, places south of I-20. So central Georgia definitely experiencing a lot of the heavy rain throughout the rest of the day. So this flood watch essentially means that more flooding is possible, especially in creeks, streams, and even some rivers. We'll be watching for river flooding. We've had a few reports of river floods already in the area, or at least that it is going to go above flood stage at some point this week. The issue is when you get all of this rain, it has to go somewhere, one. So when the ground is saturated, it stays above the ground. But two, you get runoff. And also, of course, rivers flow from north to south. So if you get rain in places like Metro Atlanta on the Chattahoochee River, and that's flowing south into our southern counties, that ultimately will raise the river level south. So it's a trickle effect, a domino effect, if you will, when you get all of this rain and the rivers have to hold on to it, because they as well can only hold so much water, and we've gotten a lot in a short period of time. So we do have a flood watch as well. We'll keep you updated on any kind of road closures or any kind of river flooding in the area, and of course if that impacts your community, because personally, coming from the Macon area, the central Georgia area, we had the Oconee River down there that would flood a lot, and there were a lot of homes along the Oconee River, and when it got too high, you would see the river, the river would be in their backyard. So we will keep you posted on that so you can be well aware. But we do have a first alert because of the potential for more flash flooding through the afternoon, and then also maybe those rivers starting to rise in that flood watch. Just a heads up, we do also have a tornado watch in effect for Upson and Lamar counties. These are our far southern counties. This is more central Georgia, but we will be watching Upson and Lamar County, so the Thomaston and Barnesville area. I do think, just looking at the dynamics of the atmosphere, looking at what the National Weather Service is analyzing, that the greater threat for tornadic activity is actually south of Lamar and Upson counties, so more towards Macon and the Jeffersonville area, so central Georgia, outside of North Georgia. Again, most of us here in North Georgia are looking pretty good through the rest of the day. In fact, conditions are starting to improve, and we're starting to see clearing skies, which will be a trend as we go through the rest of the day today. Here's a look at that difference between watch and warning, because I know sometimes this can be confusing. We throw these terms around a lot, and they can just get confusing. It's important to know what the difference is. Good morning, Christopher from Grovetown, Georgia. Hello. So a watch essentially means get ready, because severe storms or flooding, in the case of the flood watch, is possible within the next few hours because conditions are going to continue to decline, and that is going to allow, essentially we're looking ahead and seeing that the atmosphere in the next several hours is going to be favorable for something, or for instance, river conditions are going to be favorable for flooding. The warning is when you need to take action. So when we go on TV for tornado warnings, that is because a tornado warning is currently happening, whether it's radar indicated or a confirmed tornado. So while again, we don't have any warnings right now other than flash flood warnings, that is what that means. So that means that you need to take action. A watch is kind of like get ready. A warning is go. Take action. Severe weather is happening, flooding is happening, flash flooding is happening. So that's the difference. I know it can be a little bit tricky, but the way I kind of put it is watch is like watch out. You have to watch out for something. A warning is like warning, take action. That's just the greater, bigger word that is essentially telling you that now is the time. We are warning you something is happening right now. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense, and that was able to kind of clear things up, because I know that sometimes can get a little confusing when we're throwing a lot of terms out on days like today. So let's take you through the rest of the day. A few light showers possible in the metro, so inside the perimeter, if you're in our suburbs up towards Cherokee, Cobb, Gwinnett counties, Forsyth County, Bartow County, you can have a few light showers as the rest of this essentially front continues to sink south. But notice places like Griffin and Spalding County, places like LaGrange, Pike, Lamar counties, Upson County, still going to get hammered with rain over the next couple of hours. This will move off to the east, southeast through the morning and into the afternoon. By lunchtime, if you live in some of our suburbs like Cherokee County, like if you live in Rome, if you live in LJ, if you live in Gainesville, you're going to start to see sunshine by lunchtime. Meanwhile, a completely different story south of I-20, still getting hammered with rain in parts of Lamar, Pike, and Upson counties, finally starting to get a break in parts of Troup and Meriwether counties. This will eventually clear pretty much all of us, including Meriwether, Pike, Troup, Lamar, Upson counties, as we head into the early afternoon. At this point, 1 o'clock, Atlanta, you're starting to see some filtered sunshine. Temperatures are warming nicely. We'll have temperatures in the upper 70s today and low 80s. It'll be really, really comfortable. We will continue to have showers sink south through the afternoon, but by 4 o'clock, when you are getting ready to head home from work and school today, the day will be completely different than how it started. We are going to do a complete 180 in less than 24 hours, which will be wonderful. A much welcomed break after a stormy weekend. Again, temperatures are going to be pushing 80 degrees today, generally in the mid to upper 70s. So our rain chances, thankfully, are going to stay low. Tomorrow, maybe a stray shower, especially south of I-20, because that front is just going to be very stubborn. It's lingering across the southeast, which is usually when you get these flooding situations like we have. But Tuesday, about a 20% coverage of rain. Good morning from Dunwoody, Jay. Hello. And then we'll be dry for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And again, most of us will be dry tomorrow. We'll actually see some sunshine tomorrow. It'll be partly to mostly cloudy. And then we'll be dry for most of the week, which is great. Again, cleanup efforts have to ensue. The National Weather Service has to go and survey the damage in a handful of counties, not only in North Georgia and parts of Troup County, Meriwether County, but they'll be going down to Upson County. They'll be going down to Baldwin County and Milledgeville, where they got hit really hard. Macon had a pretty intense storm this morning, so they have a lot of work to do, and thankfully they'll have plenty of days to get out and go do that. And our ground will be able to kind of get rid of some of that water. The sunshine will help evaporate some of that water out of the ground, so we're not quite so saturated. So when we look ahead to our next rain chance on Saturday, we won't necessarily have to worry about any kind of flooding threat. So that break is much needed. 40% coverage of rain on Saturday, as again, we are going to watch another cold front come through. Right now, the severe weather threat isn't necessarily looking a sure bet for us. We could maybe have a few thunderstorms, but unlike these past couple of weather systems we've had, this one doesn't look quite as potent as the past couple. So we'll still be watching. We could eventually first alert it, just depending on the coverage of rain, if it's going to impact Saturday plans, anything of that nature. But just something we're watching right now, nothing of concern as of the start of the week. Here's a look at your temperatures. Of course, this weather system bringing us the rain is a front, so we will cool down slightly. You're definitely going to need a jacket Wednesday and Thursday morning, so temperatures will only be in the low 40s to mid 40s Wednesday and Thursday. If you ask me, that's jacket worthy. But then our overnight lows will start to gradually increase as cloud cover increases Saturday morning. That will kind of keep us in the 60s, so it'll be a pretty mild start to the weekend. Temperature-wise in the afternoon, Wednesday to me is going to be super comfortable. I love sunshine and 60s. I think that's a great day. Tomorrow, again, a few extra clouds that will keep us a little cooler along with that colder air spilling in behind our front. And then we're going to head near 80 degrees by Friday, again, ahead of that next weather system that will just gradually cool us through the weekend. So we'll be in the mid 70s Saturday with that chance for rain, maybe a few rumbles of thunder. And then Sunday we'll be back in the low 70s. So much better weather on the way for the rest of the week after what was really just an intense weekend and start to the work week. Again, that first alert weather day, meaning that it is a threat for scattered severe storms, a threat to life and property. We've brought that necessarily to an end, but we do still have a first alert because we want to give you at home a heads up that flooding is still possible. Roadways could still have water standing in them, so you just want to take it easy out there because of all the rain that is now exiting. It is going to essentially leave us with some residual effects of the flooding. And we do still have a flash flood warning in effect for Spalding County until 3:30 and a handful of other counties like Troop, Meriwether, Pike counties until just after 12 o'clock. So that means that, again, flash flooding is happening. All that rain eventually will move out by 1, 2 o'clock for our southern counties, but in the meantime, that's just going to add to the severity of the rain that they've already received. Of course, we had a couple of those tornado warnings. That was also another reason for the first alert weather day, because we did have the threat for tornadoes. Unfortunately, we did end up having a couple of tornado warnings. One yesterday that Chief Meteorologist Jen Valdez and I were covering early in the morning before 7 a.m. That caused just incredible damage in parts of Troop County who were not immune, unfortunately, to severe weather. It just wasn't that long ago that places like Troop and Meriwether and Spalding counties had the devastation from tornadoes back in the winter months. And so this unfortunately isn't new to them. It's not something that you would like to be a commonality in your community, but unfortunately it just seems to have been a really rough couple of months for them. So we are going to be out there covering what's going on with the Red Cross, because the Red Cross is there to help, the cleanup efforts, of course, and then we'll be keeping in touch with the National Weather Service to see when they are going to be doing tornado surveys. So keep an eye out for that. There's a lot of updates that are to come with the aftermath now of the severe storms. Of course, there's the part of our coverage that is covering the storms, letting you know where they are, trying to keep you and your family as safe as possible and informed. But then there's also the cleanup and recovery after storms as severe and intense as this. So that's kind of the mode we're transitioning into, and we're going to be sure to keep you posted on all of that. Of course, we also have the tornado from this morning that was over near Pike and Upson counties this morning. So we'll check in with that, see the updates on when the National Weather Service will go check out that damage and see if they can get confirmation of any kind of tornado there. We never got confirmation on radar of that. When a tornado is confirmed, our polygons turn purple. When they are not confirmed, when it's just radar indicated, it is red. Doesn't take away from the severity of the situation, but we haven't gotten a radar confirmation from that because it wasn't physically observed on the ground. It just hasn't been confirmed yet. So we'll be looking out for that to keep you updated. Needless to say, after a busy weekend of weather, we will all be glad that there's going to be sunshine returning this afternoon for a lot of us. Beautiful days through most of the work week, and we will continue. Our entire First Alert Weather team will continue to keep you updated as we learn more updates on essentially what the ranking of the tornadoes were. If there was, in fact, a confirmed tornado in places like Upson County this morning, we'll be sure to keep you posted. And if we find any resources so you can help our neighbors to the south, of course, we'll share those with you as well. Enjoy the sunshine to come this afternoon. If you are watching from some of our southern counties, our thoughts are with you. Hang in there. The rain is going to be out of the way in the next couple of hours. And as always, we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you here next time.